Hello, everybody, and good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really pleased to have you with us. It's obviously quite an exciting change, certainly for me anyway, to be including languages in your curriculum, but it's obviously can be quite nerve-wracking. So we want to talk through some of those changes and how at Twinkl we can support you. So I'm Bethan, and I'm the languages product owner at Twinkl, and I'm here with Mairead from the Island Country team. So Mairead, over to you for a second.
Perfect. Thanks, Bethan. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our TeachMeet tonight. I am Mairead, and I'm the Ireland Country Manager. So everything you see for Twinkl Ireland comes through a team over here in Ireland. There's 23 of us, and most of us are full-time Irish teachers in Irish classrooms. And obviously, we have seen the new primary curriculum framework. We've seen the new maths curriculum, and we've seen that modern foreign languages are going to be coming into the curriculum in 2025. So we decided to reach out to Bethan, who is our languages product owner, and basically help us out on how we can get learning languages in 2025 in our classrooms, help us out with quite a big change in our curriculum. And that's basically where this idea has come about. And we're really looking forward to it tonight. So thanks. I'll put it back to Bethan again.
Great, thank you. So so a little bit about me and about the team that I work with. So my subject specialism is languages, and within my team we've got writers, editors, designers and illustrators, all who are inspired by languages. We've all lived and taught in different countries around the world. We've all taught different ages, and between us we have French and Spanish native speakers. We are all huge culture lovers of international culture. We absolutely love celebrating big days like European Day of Languages and those sorts of things. And the biggest thing is that our role is to help people who teach languages. That's what we do. So the most important thing for us is to support language teachers. And we find that the vast majority of language teachers that we support are not specialist language teachers. So most people in the primary setting are not experienced language teachers. They don't have a language learning background. They might well have studied languages at school themselves, and suddenly they're finding themselves in the classroom having to teach French or Spanish or German. And this can be really daunting. So this is very much our area of expertise, and we want to make sure that we can support you with this, because if you don't have any language background, it can be quite scary. Even though, we've got some time until 2025, it's quite a big undertaking for those of you who don't have a language background. And we just wanted to look at what we know already, how we can support you, and just how we can get ready for that, really. So I want to look a little bit about the background behind the new curriculum, to look exactly what we know. I mean, it's not set in stone yet in terms of exactly what's going to happen, but we've got a fair idea of what it will look like based on our experience of other primary curricula. We want to help you get ready for that mentally as much as anything, so that you are mentally ready and prepared to be able to start planning for it and knowing that it's coming, and just to start getting a language idea into your curriculum, even though you don't need to be teaching it yet, just to start getting that concept out there. And just a little bit about how we at Twinkl can support you, really. And hopefully this will be the first of several TeachMeets that we will hopefully get together over the period of time before you actually start having to deliver the curriculum, and how we can support you. So a little bit of background, really, just to make sure that you are familiar with exactly what it is. I know that there have been changes to maths recently, and you've probably been quite absorbed with some of those, and there are lots of other changes going on. And this may be an area that you're thinking, 2025, I'm going to put it to one side for the moment, but it's really useful to know about exactly what's going to happen. So the strategy for foreign languages was developed with an action plan for education. And this action plan has set out, the goal is to make Ireland's education system the best in Europe within the next decade. It's a super ambitious programme setting out the objectives of how we're going to get to this point. And then in order to kind of feed into this languages plan, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment commissioned a background paper. And it was this background paper that really has kind of guided everything that's got together. So Matt is sharing some links for you in the chat that will lead you to some of these. They're really quite long documents, and there's an awful lot there. And if you're someone who's going to be teaching languages for an hour a week, you may look at these enormous documents and think, I'm going to wait until someone comes, and presents you with that. So what I've wanted to do is to kind of summarize some of that for you to help take some of the fear away from it, and just to kind of explain a little bit about the background so you understand where it's come from. But essentially, the background for everything is this, and this is perhaps the most important thing to be aware of. Language is one of the means by which we think, express our thoughts, communicate, and connect with others. Knowledge of foreign languages is essential for Ireland's cultural, social, and economic welfare. And many countries now are catching up to the notion that a foreign language is essential at secondary age in order to prepare students for university or for the world of work and for life in an international society. Therefore, starting young at primary school is essential to help get it there. So the decision has been made that in order for Ireland's education to be a leading education system within Europe within the next decade, languages have got to feature really heavily within that. And in order for languages to be a success at an older age group, they have to be introduced at a younger age group. So this is where it's all come from. And you can see the various strategies and all of the reports that feed into this. There may not be documents that you want to take away and read in their entirety, but they are useful ones to bookmark or print and to put in your subject folder, for example, just as your background, particularly if you have a department or a team and you're going to be working together and you've got to share information. So the question really is, what does it actually mean for you? What are you going to have to do? Well, what it means is from 2025, children will start learning a language from 3rd class onwards. There's going to be more opportunity. According to all of these documents about the curriculum strategy, there will be more opportunity for schools to decide how best to organise their timetables. But the expectation is that it's going to be an hour a week for children in 3rd to 6th classes. So an hour a week is what we're kind of aiming for, which is quite helpful that they are suggesting that, because you will see that in England or in Scotland or in Wales, the times aren't suggested, and you see an enormous variation of some people with an hour a week and some with 20 minutes a week. And then the outcomes are extremely different. So with the view of having a broadly similar outcome across primary, moving children into the next level, an hour a week is suggested from 3rd to 6th class onwards. There will be no obligation to start languages earlier, but you may look at sort of models from other countries and think, well, yeah, we're going to start the children now, getting them in that mindset, those kind of things. As part of this new curriculum, there's going to be a greater emphasis on pupil voice, so giving them more input in what they're doing. And there is still, at this point, some debate about the role of homework in terms of whether homework is going to be a factor for all subjects, whether it's just going to be for maths or for science, or whether you would need to contemplate homework for languages. We don't yet know, but at the moment, the main thing is that you're going to be focusing on an hour a week from 3rd class onwards. That's essentially what we do know that we're fairly certain about. And in order to help us kind of work out exactly what we think might happen in Ireland, because we don't know, because this hasn't been set down yet and actually formulated in a document, it's really worthwhile looking at what happens in England and Scotland and Wales. So what you will discover if you look into these, and it is really worth looking because they will give you the broad background, because in the research documents, they've actually said we've looked at Wales, we've looked at Scotland. So it is something that has been looked at in Ireland in order to put this together. And there is such an overlap between things that are written in the Welsh and the Scottish and the English curriculum that you will see there's bound to be similar overlaps when it comes to Ireland as well. And there are certain areas that we can see. And fundamentally, the whole point is about making progress in a language. So in England, it's seen as needing to find a balance between spoken and written language, and it's about laying the foundations. So there's no specified endpoint. There's no specified, they must be able to do this, this, and this by the end, in terms of that they can do a certain type of vocabulary or they can say certain things. It is quite open-ended. It can be any ancient or modern language. So that's the interesting thing, is that a school could be teaching Latin, and then obviously it's not going to be a spoken language, but they could do that, and that's the language. And it may well be that it's not the language that's then taught in secondary. So you may find in your school that actually you are channeled towards a certain subject because of what's taught in the feeder school that your children will go on to. Or it may just be that you're allowed to teach, what you know yourself. And at the moment, what you'll see, tends to happen in England is that teachers teach what they themselves were taught at school. So if they studied French at school, they'll be teaching French. And that's why French is the most common language at the moment in England, taught in primary schools, simply because most teachers learned French at school. That's the only reason for it. So in England, there's no real level specified that they have to reach at the end, and it's about just making progress. And essentially, it's about fostering curiosity. It's an opening to other cultures, curiosity, and understanding of the world. So generally getting children to love languages. That's the plan. In Scotland, it's a much more ambitious model, which is based on the European 1+2 model, which is that every child will learn 2 languages. And I think the reality is that the new Irish curriculum is more likely to head towards some strands of the Scottish curriculum for excellence, based on some of the findings and some of the things that were discussed in the interim reports that I mentioned earlier. So I think it is really important to be mindful of what's done in Scotland. But again, it's about real life situations. And it's about seeing language learning as skills for work. Scotland, as with Ireland, is very much basing on this. We have the global, marketplace ahead of us, and we want our children to be competent within that marketplace. And that's effectively what we're aiming for. So in Scotland, language learning begins at age 4 to 5, so much younger. In England, it starts in year 3, which is around 7 or 8 years old. So quite a difference there. So it's starting at 4 to 5 in Scotland, with a focus on embedding language through routines, songs, rhymes. It's a bit more fun. The children are just having fun with the language. They then start learning the second language, which probably becomes, the second language, which then is kind of the more taught language, will start then age 9. Either they'll continue with what they started when they were younger, or a brand new language again. So obviously this allows for the Scottish Gaelic language to be included as well. And you may well find that something similar ends up happening as it, obviously the rules are different in Scotland, Ireland and Wales with regards to native languages there, and the expectations. You may well start to see some overlaps there as well. We don't know, but certainly the fact that this is a European Union model, I think is an interesting one to kind of look at. Again, there are no specific language requirements, so it can be any language, and there are no time requirements. So there isn't anything that kind of says you must have an hour a week. So the fact that already we know that the Irish curriculum is going to be aiming for an hour, we've already got more parameters than England and Scotland have got already. So that is actually quite helpful in some respects, because it means you can start to plan for that. In Wales, all primary schools must deliver an international language from year 5 onwards. So that's 10 or 11. So right towards the end of primary school. So it's the last 2 years of primary school. And international languages are described as home, community, modern languages, classic language, and British Sign Language. So it could, in fact, be anything that they're taught. And what I actually live in Wales, so I see this myself, and what tends to be the case, because there is not really anything fixed with regards to this, it's more likely that languages are taught in a more of an informal club kind of situation. Because Welsh is compulsory, you will see that languages then tend to be a secondary kind of club, or a slightly less formal learning setting. It's far more holistic. It's just more about promoting languages in general, but there is expectation to see some progress in another language other than Welsh or English. So, in terms of what you can see in Wales, Scotland and Ireland, Scotland, it has the most prescriptive curriculum. Wales has the least prescriptive curriculum. The English one is somewhere in the middle. And I think very much we're going to be seeing strands from all of these feeding into the Irish curriculum, because these already exist, and we're going to see elements of this that are feeding in. So we can see already children in Ireland will be starting at a similar age to children in England, not as early as in Scotland. But already we're saying an hour a week. So therefore, we're going to have expectations of much more progress realistically if it's an hour a week. So those are just some things to bear in mind. So things that you can start doing already, given, unfortunately, we don't yet know exactly what you're having to teach and what that is going to be. In England, Scotland, and Wales, you're relatively free to set your own progress targets. And it may well be that you're in that same position. And it will very much depend on the skills and the expertise you have in your school already. If you have no language background, it can be super daunting to start this and to think, oh my goodness, where do we start? What do we do? If you have some language background, it's an awful lot easier to kind of start getting these things together. But wherever you are, it's worth getting together as a team in your school and start having a skills audit. So starting to think about, between us, what languages do we know already? Can we speak any languages? What qualifications do we have? What can we do? We know that pupil voice is going to be a key aspect of the new curriculum. Therefore, we want to start involving the pupils now, and getting prepared for that. So asking them about the languages they want to learn, involving them in the process. You want to be starting to embed languages into your daily routine so that languages, much like is done in Scotland, and we can take some inspiration from Scotland here, that they are embedding languages from a young age, from 4 to 5, with registers, with songs, with routines, that actually to start doing that now. So even though it's not compulsory till 2025, it doesn't need to be a taught language till 2025, you start embedding it so it becomes part of your school routine, so that you celebrate cultural events, for example, or just simple things like having some signs around the school, just starting to embed some of those things, answering a register, saying yes or no, or please or thank you, just to get that out there and to start putting it there so that children see it. It starts to become a part of the fabric of their school day. Things that you will need to think about in the meantime as well are setting up a subject folder. So we've got various links for all of these things that we can help you with here. We've got various packs that can help you with this. So setting up a subject folder is an excellent place to start. So Matt's sharing a link there for being an effective subject leader. But whether you're going to be a leader or a class teacher, the resources within that pack are ideal to get you started, because they go through everything with you about how to set up a languages policy, how to set up tracking of various things, how to set up pupil voice. We have a pupil voice pack as well to help you interview pupils and help steer you with some of those questions that you might need. We also have a growing range of CPD resources. We have CPD resources ready for teachers with limited subject experience. We have CPD resources for teachers who would like to learn a little bit more about pedagogy, and we also have useful resource packs that are really helpful as well. And we're constantly adding to and developing these. So should you feel that there is an area that you're really lacking in expertise or you'd like extra support with, do fill in the questionnaire at the end of this session, because obviously we can look to help you. As I've said, our mission is always to help those who teach languages, and the languages team, that is what we do. So therefore we want to help you feel language ready. That's the most important thing. So really, just to think about really is what I want to say is to have fun with languages, to not fear it. At the moment, these big changes in the curriculum, I know, from speaking to Mairead earlier, the changes in maths are obviously straight away cause a huge impact, immediately, and everybody having to think about it. And 2025 still feels like a long way away. But now is the time to start having fun with languages. Before it's compulsory, before it's a regulation, you start embedding it into your school. You start celebrating culture, looking at different things. You can look at starting to set up all sorts of events and fun within your school. So, what can you do to have fun with languages, to start putting it out there so that children and teachers are seeing languages as a positive thing? Because the worst thing is that for a new subject, you yourself are thinking, oh no, I don't want to do that. You want to make it fun. You want to make it engaging so that you yourself start to get enthused as well. And so do the rest of the staff in your school. So the first thing I can say is to celebrate culture. We've just had last week European Day of Languages. The 26th of September is probably the most important day in the languages calendar because it's celebrating European languages. And that's a fantastic day to kick off next school year. It's a brilliant one. We have an amazing selection of resources for that. And it's a brilliant way to celebrate languages across the whole school. There are also other days to celebrate, such as International Mother Language Day in February, which celebrates all world languages and languages spoken at home. There's the World Day for Cultural Diversity, which is another one a little bit later on in the year. That's another fantastic one to celebrate the importance of culture. You can also look at celebrating things like Bastille Day in France. Day of the Dead, which is coming up soon, or any other kind of large cultural events that you may be familiar with in French, German, or Spanish culture, which are brilliant to get children thinking and learning little bits about them. So French, Spanish festivals are wonderful opportunities to start talking about culture. When it's coming up to Christmas time, look at how Christmas is celebrated in the other cultures. Learn a few words, look at some of the resources we have, for example, to make some Christmas cards in French. And there we go. Already we're looking at embedding some languages into what we might be doing already. So rather than perhaps, thinking just about our New Year traditions, look at New Year traditions in France or Spain. In Spain, for example, on the every chime of midnight, they eat a grape. So, that's a brilliant one to talk about with children, why that is, what they're doing. In France and in Germany, many areas will be celebrating St. Nicholas Day at the start of December, which is a really fun way to talk about how St. Nicholas leaves little tiny presents in shoes for everybody. Again, quite a fun way to look at things and the way to kind of think. So, embedding those sorts of things and looking at how things are celebrated in different cultures is a fantastic way to just start getting language ready. Making it visual is really important. So already, if you can, starting to dedicate an area to having a languages display, whether in your classroom, in a corridor, in your school. And it doesn't have to be a specific language yet. It can just be celebrating world languages or all the languages spoken in your school. We've got loads of brilliant display packs to help you with this, but that's a great place to start. Songs and rhymes are an absolutely wonderful place to go. We've, got lots of great long songs to go here for this, but this is a lovely way to start. Just get your children singing along with some songs in French and Spanish or in German. Looking online, you can find a wealth of translated cartoons, for example, and you could watch a cartoon that your children love in a foreign language with subtitles. That's a brilliant way to start. Looking at a story. These are all great little ways to get you going and just to start you off. Making links are really important as well. So, whether those are cultural links. So if we're celebrating something, let's have a think about, how it might be celebrated elsewhere. But looking at links in a language spoken at home, or looking at links in the Irish language and, looking at, oh, this is a bit different. Let's think, what do we know here? What can we, find out about this? Making those sorts of links is really important. So always trying to find a way to chat about it. So it just becomes part of what you're talking about. So being aware of the languages. So even if you're just making links between English and Irish, and then you can think, oh, so when we learn another language, what are we going to have to think about? What sort of things do we need to know there, for example? That's a great place to start as well, just to get the conversation going. If you're feeling very brave, setting up a club is a great way to go. And, this can be, we've got language club packs for French, Spanish and German. So you may want to actually set up a specific club, or you might just want to have a language club. I see lots of people online with things like polyglot clubs where they're celebrating all different languages. And that can be a really fun thing to do as well, just to get children thinking about the languages and just to celebrate it and just to celebrate other cultures. And it can be a lovely way to start. You can be looking at food, you can be looking at culture, and those are all absolutely wonderful ideas. It can be simple things such as doing a weather report in a foreign language, or a holiday report, and doing some research, or just researching the country. It doesn't always have to be language specific, because the one important strand running through the English, Scottish and Welsh curricula is the importance of cultures. And there's always a phrase in the English national curriculum, which I absolutely love, which is about languages being a liberation from insularity. And I think that's the single most important things that we can actually do, which is helping children see that there is a world out there. And in that world, people speak different languages, they celebrate different cultures, and they have different traditions. And it's absolutely wonderful to learn about all of those. So that's really important. Matt's just shared a link in a chat there for a blog about cross-curricular links. So as well as saying making links to other languages and things that you're learning, links across other subjects are a fantastic way to do it as well. We talked about, could you use a language for the register? Well, simple counting as part of your PE lesson, for example. If you're learning about art, look at a French or Spanish artist. Can you make cross-curricular links to kind of link things across? Celebrating if you're cooking, then maybe make, we've got recipes for Day of the Dead bread, or for which is tastier than it sounds, or for St. Nicholas Day biscuits, for example. And then you can kind of, you're tying things in and having a kind of fun element around that whilst learning about other cultures. Those are all brilliant ways to kind of think about things. We've also got, as I mentioned earlier, CPD videos and resources to help boost your subject confidence. So something in the meantime for you to do, if you are not very confident with your language skills at the moment, is to start getting ready with those sorts of things. So we have a growing collection of resources to support you with that. I also have a TeachMeet program that runs every month. Next week, it's on developing effective subject leadership in languages. So do keep an eye out on those. They're all booked through the same places as the one that you booked for tonight. And there is a program throughout the entire year up until next summer on different elements of improving your language pedagogy and confidence. And they're aimed at a mix of between subject experts and complete non-specialists to teaching assistants. So anybody is welcome to attend those. So please do look at that program. It can be really helpful. Follow us, the Languages team, on Twitter and Facebook, and we will share our newest resources, and it gives you a chance to connect with me and my team, and we can answer your queries, and help you if you've got anything that you're not sure about there. Please don't feel that just because everything tends to look as though it's geared for England, that is the case, because it's very much not the case at all. As I said, I live in Wales, and I'm, well aware of the importance that all of the language curricula in England, Scotland, and Wales are slightly different. And I'm aware that the Irish curriculum is going to be different again. And I'm hoping that, eventually there'll be some sort of parity and we can cross all of those, links, and we can actually see really clearly what the differences are. We also have a regular section of blogs that we're always chatting about some of the most important things that are relevant for primary teachers. And, within our language resources, do go and have a look at our main set of resources just to see what we have available, just to have a look and familiarize yourself with the types of resources are there. And just in the short term, look at maybe some event resources. So looking at a French event or a Spanish event and sort of, coming up with some of those. Those are a really lovely way to start. We have progressive schemes of work. We have our Planet scheme, which is tied to the English curriculum, but it is obviously can fit any progressive curriculum of a similar age. So we have that one, but we are currently developing a new scheme of work that will target all of the different curricula. I don't want it to be that we just have a scheme for England. It's a scheme that will be suitable for teachers in Ireland, for teachers in Scotland, for teachers in Wales and in England, because the aims are to make progress and they are the same, and the kind of benchmarks that we're looking to measure success are broadly similar. So, we have got existing progressive schemes of work and we are developing new schemes to go with that. We have a wealth of resources on topics and events, which are fantastic, as I've said, to get children just interested in the culture and in the language. We've got a whole load of display and certificates. So display is a great way to go with it. So you can get displays up on your board and get yourselves a language display going already. And something that we've just started this month, which is very exciting. This is actually an initial collaboration with the home education team, which is called Languages at Lunch, which is a weekly language lesson, and they're all available for free on Catch Up. So they're on Facebook Live or on YouTube, and they're all available through the Home Ed Hub on YouTube. And you can find those. And we've actually been teaching for the last month a weekly Spanish lesson. So you may well find that that's a brilliant way for you to set up your club, that we've already got those lessons online that you can use to start setting up a Spanish club, or just to start at a younger age getting children language ready. So we've had Spanish this half term. After the October break, we'll be coming back with French for 6 weeks. I'll share those links with Mairead so that she can obviously share those with you on social media or through your newsletters, and have a look, and we can actually, you can have a look as to whether those may also be helpful for you as well, and some of those resources. But really, the most important thing I wanted to do was just to say that, we have got your back. We are here. We know it's coming. We know it's really daunting, and we are aware of that. And we are taking steps to make sure that you can feel supported from now, which is a super early stage, you know, almost 2 full years before it starts. But just to say that we are in the process of monitoring everything and doing all of the background research. As you said, so all those links to all those documents that I shared, that's to kind of save you having to go away and feel you need to read all of those. I've sort of read those and condensed that for you in this presentation, so you can see the basis of where we're heading and how essentially, you know, the Irish government will be looking at a broader picture of primary language learning across, you know, a range of different countries to pull together the best curriculum that's going to suit your children. But, you know, as I've said, it's going to be an hour a week from third class, and we have a wealth of resources to support you with that. And by the time you get there, at 2025, we want it to be that you feel confident and ready to go. So this is very much just an initial chance to kind of meet you all and to say hello, and to say that obviously we're here to support you, but also to let you know that as you start to learn more and you feel that you need more support, we are also here to mold that support around what it is that you need. So that's all from me for the moment. I'll pass back to Mairead if there's anything that you want to add to that, Mairead.
I don't think I have too much to add to that, to be honest. Thank you, Preston. It's been really, really good.